Naturally, as time goes on, we understand more and more about Pokemon Quest. That even though it looks like a simple game and it's effectively just a freemium app game, there's actually a lot of complexity to the cooking system despite only having 10 ingredients, one of which is used for exclusively legendary Pokemon. That you could either just kind of put in all of the same thing and make these simple ingredients, or you can try to mix it up with these precious ingredients and get a different grade to help get rarer and rarer Pokemon. Well, the problem about that is we still don't know what rarities cause what Pokemon to be summoned, but one thing that has come up is the special Pokemon that we can get from using all Rainbow Matter. Now, Rainbow Matter is a rare ingredient drop that also doesn't make a lot of sense. Very precious ingredients that can substitute for any other ingredient. Well, the problem is if you use too much Rainbow Matter, then that means it kind of runs into some of the other ingredients, which means you're just going to make a mulligan stew most of the time. So you want to use like 2 max if you're confident in what recipe you're creating to make sure that the rainbow stew will create what you're looking for. But as you can see, it's a very precious ingredient despite not being like listed on the bottom layer, and then we just have a regular precious ingredient. So using it to augment the rarity is kind of what the use of it is. But what happens if we make a special mulligan stew? That this is kind of like the highest rarity we can make. So the question is it worth using all of my Rainbow Matter for just one recipe? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. So I have 80 Rainbow Matter, and I'm just going to use it all for cooking. But you can see that very precious recipes start to create something really interesting, because that's going to take 6 turns despite just being a regular cooking pot. And I'm just going to do all Rainbow Matter for these first couple ones, and maybe try to figure out if we can get a successful mix-in and what that means for other kinds of Pokemon. So one way that you can do pretty well with understanding the crafting is by just cooking these lower level ones and seeing what Pokemon appear, and if you like the result, you might want to take note of it and then use it for higher level pots to start off with higher level Pokemon. So that's going to be 6 right there, and I guess I'll see you guys in a bit. Well, all I can really say is that it is the moment of truth. That this is, several days with the grinding, randomly getting stuff, and now we have mulliganed everything. But what are the Pokemon that appear? I'm not sure what that is off the bat. Okay, so that's just going to give us a Drowsy. Now, the thing about the mulligan stew is that it casts a pretty wide net, and that's one of the rarest things you can make on the mulligan stew. That is a 6-turn special rarity, and we only get a Drowsy for it, but it's also a Psychic-type Pokemon. Oh! Fossil-type Pokemon, though. Well, not fossil typing, but fossil Pokemon, I can tell immediately that that is a Kabuto. So this does show that some of the rare Pokemon will be attracted that way, and I have been seeing comments saying that, they got a Dratini by just putting in all the rainbow ones, so also seems like a way of getting Dragon-type and some of the less common ones. Hey, Ammonite! Ooh, this is actually really interesting. So you can get some of the more rare Psychic types, or just some of the more powerfully seen Pokemon inside the game, because I've made countless of the normal just Psychic brain food, and that just gives me Abras pretty much non-stop. There was one time I got an Execute, so it kind of just plays around with the rarity right there. Now, one thing I do recommend is that you hold on to some Rainbow Matter, because that is how you obtain Mew, because Mew is going to be 2 Rainbow Matter and then 3 on the Mystical Shells, and it's going to take quite some time to grind them up, because Mystical Shells are the rare items that you can find in Happenstance Island, and then you're just going to make sure you don't blow through all of them, since Rainbow Matter are also fairly rare. Now, since I'm not super focused on getting a Mew right now, I'm just going to go and cook up all these and see if we end up with that Dratini, see what kind of rare Pokemon are summoned by this, because it seems like it's just the special rarity overall. So I'm going to do one more, that's just all of them, and I'm going to play around with mixing in some other recipes that include the Rainbow Matter, such as, let's just do a red stew with 1 Rainbow Matter inside of it, and then we'll also do a gray stew with 1 Rainbow Matter inside of it. I also want to play around with those rarities. So let's see what happens if we have 4 simple ingredients, and then we have 1 rainbow ingredient. We're going to see what time, how long it takes to cook this one. So 4 turns, which means it just ups the rarity just a little bit. But what happens if we do precious and then mix in some stuff like that? So 2 precious and 1 Rainbow Matter with the 2 simple on those grays are probably going to give us, actually I could have done something maybe a bit more rare. That's going to give us a 5. So as you can see, it is a good way to augment it, but it does really only kind of play with the colors or very, very specific ingredient combinations. And I guess I'll see you guys again in 6 turns, which means I do need to consume a battery right now. Alright, so let's see how this batch of cooking goes. Pretty much, the idea behind this is that you're looking for these specific rarities. They're special, very good, and good, and that's based on how many precious ingredients go into the pot. So it looks like the rainbow matter is going to be best used, just kind of top it off, and then that also shows the amount of turns that it takes. It takes 6 turns, that means you got special. Well, if it's 3 more turns than the normal, because each pot also has the base amount of turns, and then it adds 1 for each extra rarity. So if you're just cooking with the normal pot, that means seeing 6 is what you want. Also, is that a Charmander? Did we just mulligan into a Charmander? Alright, that's pretty cool. That is something pretty cool for sure. So, we're seeing like all these different Pokemon. We have Hitmonlee, which sounds like a rare Pokemon, just like in the context of obtaining it in the original games. You only get 1, and there's not really too many of them. So let's see how our Red Stew does now. Because we just set this up on the Red Stew, and we got a Slowpoke. So Slowpoke kind of is showing to be an elevated rarity, and I want to do one more round of cooking, just kind of see how we can manipulate the special, the very good, and the good rarities, and then see where the rainbow matter actually falls into play. Because for the most part, just not using it and then saving it up until you really want to YOLO on a high level recipe seems the best way to go. But hey, look at that. We just got a Chansey from the white stew right there. So that actually shows the rarity and the amount that goes into it, which is pretty interesting. So now let's see what happens if we just dump in random precious ingredients. Like, this should mulligan. And if it doesn't, then whatever we make, we make. So that's going to be the idea right there. If we just put in all precious ingredients, what does that give us? That gives us 6. So it shows that rainbow matter isn't necessarily needed for kind of setting up something like that. Now what happens if we just do 1 of each, and then we put in something random like that? So this is showing us the value of precious versus not precious, and that is going to give us 5. So it's all or nothing, and as we kind of saw, like, you do need to put in a very large amount of stuff. So what happens if we go for a rare blue, but we just add in this 1 rainbow matter on top of it? So that's going to be giving us 3 precious, and then 1 of the not precious. So pretty much it just makes up for a slot. I think that very precious means it makes up for a slot, and it's not like +1. So it's not like putting in 3 precious ingredients is going to give you special. It's actually going to be like 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or no, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and then 5 are going to be the actual rarity breakdowns. So if you need that extra 2 right there, that's where the rainbow matter is going to come into play. But it looks like all rainbow matter doesn't really make too much of a difference anyway, and let's take a spicy little risk right here. So what happens if we go for a red stew that has a lot of those precious aspects behind it, and then do something like this? So we know this is going to give us a 5, and my prayer here, my hope is that we get ourselves a Chansey, because I want a high level Chansey that just becomes like the most insane tank in the game, and this is going to be 7 because it adds on to the actual time it takes. So it's going to be a while, and we're going to see if this is successful or not, and then draw conclusions about the rainbow matter once and for all. Oh, wow. Okay, I was about to say, let's wrap up this video and see what we got, but the special blue actually made the Dratini. So someone said they got a mulligan off it, but I guess go for special blue, and then you can get a Dratini that way. That's really fancy. That is definitely really fancy. This is going to be another mulligan stew, so let's see what we create with this one. Oh no, Ghastly. Oh, okay. So that's how you get ghost type Pokemon. So yeah, there's some typings that aren't necessarily covered, so you have to go off of colors or stuff like that. I'm wondering if Ghastly counts as a color or if it's only found through the mulligan, because it just doesn't fall into any of the other color categories. So we're actually finding out how to get some really awesome Pokemon this way, and we just got a double right here with the Diglett and a Hitmonlee. So that was based just off the rarities and stuff right there. Now let's see what we get off of this red stew. I'm actually probably going to make a ton of special blues and see if we can get a very, like, a rarity on the Dratini, like a high-level Dratini is what I'm going to be going for. So the very good red has a Charmander behind it. Huh. Alright, there we go, guys. So hopefully this taught you something about, like, the advanced cooking. As you can see, on the left side, it says, like, good, very good, special. On the right side, it has all the other breakdowns for, like, what the size is. Oh, shiny Diglett. Okay, I didn't see that, but dude, we have a shiny Diglett. That's actually one of the better shinies to get. So that makes my 4th shiny. Just kind of happened in the video. And there's one more thing I want to test. So my theory is that good is 2 special ingredient, 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, and then 5 is going to be the special. Oh wait, no, if it's Dratini, I was about to say, well, for Dratini, that means we need to have all special. So we need to do something like that, and that is going to give us a special blue. So we're gonna do that for level 20, and that pretty much concludes the video. Now it's just personal discovery and hoping I get some really awesome stuff. And remember, that's also why you can hold on to these. So this counts for 2, which means you could save resources elsewhere. It's mostly just quality of life. I don't think it like builds into needing it for anything special, but that if you just want to kind of save resources and you've been getting these on the side, then it works out really well. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.